Okay, more and more people are coming in, but in the meantime, in the interest of time and to stick to a schedule, because we are nothing if not Mesuder, we want to welcome everybody to the next meeting of the Minatzchim, although that we obviously have many new faces due to the fact that we do have a special guest speaker. Briefly, for those that are unaware or this first time, or those that need to be reminded, the Minatzchim is a very special and very, very important initiative that was started 3+ years ago around Yud Shvat, when on the Maimer, the Basigani Maimer came to realize that the Midas and Nitzachim and the Bizbos Ha'Eitzres is given to us, and that we have to take a chrayas in that regard. That if the Bizbos Ha'Eitzres from the Melech, for the sake of the Nitzachim al Muhammad, is going to the foot soldiers, that means us. And that means that there's a tremendous achrayis to take on that responsibility and to say that we're committed to this effort, to this campaign, until the Nitzachim Mamish. This is nothing new. We know that the Rebbe says to us numerous times about our shlichus ikris, and that is until ad Kabbalah's Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu and nothing less. And therefore, this mission, being the most vital mission of Gans Klal Yisrael in history, is also the one that's going to take the greatest effort, because we know obviously that the opposition to this, both Mibayis and Michutz, is going to be the most significant. And so it was established that the necessity of getting together at least once a week to Fabreng, which is the sequence of Chassidim Bechlal, the idea that in our efforts, that we don't do this alone, we cannot do this alone. We do this together in a Fabrengen, where we come together and we takas eitzes, and each one is ma'ided the other. And so weekly we get together for Fabrengen to share ideas, to share special speakers, to share insights, but then also to lead immediately to a bechein, a poil mamish that we can work on together to forward this effort. And to date, the Minatzchim group has been the catalytic engine behind many, many very special initiatives. We'll talk more about that on the other end. And everybody here should see themselves, the Minatzchim is not a closed group. It's the very definition of an open group. Every single chassid that feels the achrayis to be not only doing the shlichus ikris, but enhancing their commitment to the shlichus ikris, to think about how they can be doing it better, and how they can stay motivated and keep it fresh and keep the passion. And not only that, but then to think about material ways that they can add in this shlichus. This is what the Minatzchim group is about. We hope that everybody who is here will not only participate but share with others, and so we can build out this effort. It is really from a grassroots effort. There is no organization behind this. We are the shluchim and nash that are committed to this and that are working on this. And we have brought on, in very exciting news, somebody who's going to take all the raw energy and manage it and give it direction and laser focus. And we'll introduce him, Reb Chaim Pekarsky, on the other end of this meeting. The other end of the presentation. But without any further ado, we want to invite Rabbi Berel Levine, who is going to talk to us on the subject that is particularly Aymed Alapedek, in the fact that we have just come from Tisha B'Av, between Tisha B'Av and Tu B'Av, and in this moment very much feeling acutely the fact that in the signing of Lubavitch, that it's not a time of despair and a time of sadness, but a time of introspection and asking ourselves what it is that we can do, that we should not be in the state of Golus. And even if we do have a Beis Rabbeinu, but to make that the Beis Rabbeinu should be Shalayim, with the Beis Hamikdash, and so to in a sense inspire us and to share with us information that we otherwise did not know about the Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel, the purchase of it, the expansion of it, etc. And again, further inspire us to go use from Beis Rabbeinu Shebebavel to Beis Rabbeinu Shebir Shalayim. Without further ado, Rabbi Levine.
83 years ago, on Yud Beis Menachem Ov, Tofshin, Agudas Chabad purchased 770. Several days later, the Frierdiker Rebbe that was then in a hotel came to see the building and to set it. He saw the building and he ordered how to build the shul. As we know, the small zal upstairs, then there was rooms. He told to take off the partitions and to make from it a larger shul. Several weeks it took this construction, this renovation, and then on several weeks later, on Sunday, Yud Tes Menachem Ov, the Frierdiker Rebbe moved into 770. When he came in, he came to the shul and he said, L'chaim, this place should be a place where people are davening with the pnimius geschmack. The first time when he came in middle of Ov, when he came to see the shul, the building, he said also L'chaim in this place where there was later a shul, and he said this building should be a building kvar, the nefesh, but arai in Zman. We shall soon speedily go to Eretz Israel with Mashiach. Then on Yotes Elul, he arranged a Chanukah Sabayis on Chov Gimel Elul. Sunday he said that Tuesday there will be a Fabringen. And then he said several siches as printed in Siches Kait Tofshin. That was the first stage of construction, buying and construction in 770. 1 year later, in the summer of Tofshin Aleph, in the month of Sivan, arrived the library of the Frierdiker Rebbe, saved from Nazi-occupied Poland. It came in the middle of Sivan, and the librarian, Chaim Lieberman, wrote then in a letter that this week arrived this Sforim, and we're in this process of taking them out and setting them in the bookcases. Bookcases, where are the bookcases? So 770 has 4 floors. The first floor is devoted for the shul and for the offices, which is the small zal now. The second floor is the apartment of the Frierdiker Rebbe, including this Yechidus room. The third floor is occupied for the Rebbe's son-in-law, Maya Guraria, the Rashak. But then there was downstairs in the ground floor a large garage. So they closed up the entrance for cars. They built up bookcases and they filled it up with storage. This was the second stage of construction in 770, 1 year later. That's how it was for several more years. Actually, the driving into the garage, the ground floor of 770, has a courtyard and a passage for the cars to come from Eastern Parkway and to go in to the garage. This whole courtyard and the driveway was devoted for activities for children as a large courtyard for 770 for several years, till Tofshin Yud. After Tofshin Yud, the Rebbe started his Fabringen, Shabbos Mevorchim and Yom Tovim and more. used to be the Verbringens in the Zal upstairs in the shul, but so many Chassidim arrived and settled here in those years that that place wasn't possible anymore. So they built up a shalash in this courtyard and driveway. Shalash is kind of a sukkah with the awning roof, which is larger than the small zal, and that's where the Verbringens was. Some of them, large Verbringens, like with the Kislev and Purim, that wasn't enough. They would rent a hall and the Verbringen would be there. But regular Verbringens would be there in the shalash. And sometimes the davening Shabbos, when there's a larger crowd, would also be in this shalash. That was for several years, till Tov Shin Chov. In Tov Shin Chov, they have decided that shalash is not proper. They have to build a shul in top of this whole courtyard and driveway. They built a shul, which is the shul downstairs in 770, under the courtyard. It was better than the shalash, but only for several years. More and more people, Chassidim, came to settle here, and that wasn't enough. In Tov Shin Chov Hey, they purchased the next two buildings, 784 and 788, till Kingston. Then they built an extension to the shul to make it larger, feedable, and enough for all the Chassidim that come. The first stage was in Tov Shin Chov Zayin, where they took the bottom two floors of the 788, which is the basement, the ground floor, and the first floor. They took off the floor that separates them, and then they had a large, tall place, extended it to the old shul. So the shul became twice as large. The courtyard of 770 and the bottom floors of 788. That was enough for several years, but no more. Chassidim came constantly setting themselves here, and the place wasn't enough. So in Tov Shin Lamed Gimel, they connected, that they extended the shul till Kingston under the 788 too. The same way. They took off the partitions, the floor between the ground floor and the first floor. Then there is a large, tall place, and they added it to the old shul, which now has three parts: the courtyard of 770, the bottom floors of 784, and the bottom floors of 788. So now the shul goes from 770 until Kingston. That's for the shul. At the same time, parallel to this, they purchased the house on the other side of 770, 766. They purchased it for the cause of the Rebbe's library, all the sforim that Chassidim and Shluchim are gathering and sending to the Rebbe. There was still then no space to put it. They would put it in storage houses here and there. After they purchased it, in Tov Shin Chov Zayin, they put up bookcases in the whole main floor, and they filled it up with the sforim. I was hired by the Rebbe to run the library in spring of Tov Shin Lamed Zayin, 10 years later. Then this whole floor, main floor, was packed with sforim, and there was a lot of boxes of sforim that came during this time, and there was no space to put them. So I put up bookcases in the whole ground floor of 766. And we filled it up with Sforim. It was enough for another 2-3 years. In Tovshin Mem, it wasn't enough. But in the back of the house, there was a large garage. That driveway that we know that goes into 766 goes into the garage. We closed the door for the cars to come into the garage, and we put up bookcases in the whole garage, and we filled it up with storage. In addition to that, when they purchased 766, they built the Tashlich in the backyard of the 766. And that's where it was for 8 years. Not where it's now. Now it is in the backyard of 770. Then it was in the backyard of 766. They dug a well deep in the driveway of 766, about 100 feet deep. And from this well, they had a pipe going to the backyard of 766, where they had the Tashlich for the next 8 years. And the Rebbe and the Chassidim shouldn't have to walk till the botanical gardens, as it was till then. But this Tashlich was in the back of 766 for 8 years, till Tov Shir Mem Daled Mem. What happened then? In Tov Shin Mem Aleph, it became difficult for the Rebbe to walk home Shabbos and Yom Tov by foot from 770 till his house on President Street. So he set a corner in the library for the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin to stay at Shabbos and Yom Tov. But it wasn't really a quarter for living, because the dining room was in the middle of a room which is full with Sforim. The bedroom is in a room that is full with Sforim, and so the other parts. So they decided to add one large room to this apartment, should be a living room for the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin and the Shabbosim and Yom Tovim. In order to do that, they dismantled the Tashlich in the backyard of 766. They built it where it is now, in the backyard of 770. And over there, in the backyard of 766, they dug it up. They built their 2 floors. The ground floor became an extension to the storage house of the library. There should be space to put in more Sforim. That was enough for another 10,000 Sforim to store it in the high bookcases that we put up there. The second floor of that room in the backyard was the living room for the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin, that are extended to the dining room and bedroom and kitchen that was prepared for the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin. That was enough for the Sforim for another several years. In Tovshin Mem Zayin, especially after the court case, when so many people used to bring in more and more Sforim, there was everything packed in the bookcases. So many boxes of Sforim we just couldn't take out of their boxes. There was no space to put them there. So I wrote to the Rebbe, and I asked him in early summer Tovshin Mem Zayin. And the Rebbe responded, I should write him a advice what I think should be done to prepare a space for the Sforim for the immediate future and after. I then spoke to Rabbi Krinsky. And then it was in the middle of preparing the big, large plan for building 770 in a way that should be a multiple-story building. The plan was that the bottom floor, the large tall floor, should be devoted for the shul. The first floor on top of that should be devoted for the library. And several floors on top of the library should be devoted for offices for the headquarters of Chabad Lubavitch. The plans was ready early Elul, Tovshin Memches, when they gave it in to the Rebbe. And he planned a Chanukas Even Apino, Avnochas Even Apino. And Chai Elul, Tovshin Memches, the Rebbe came to participate in this Even Apino where he stood on a bime in the Chotzer of 784. He said a Sicher, and then he went down and took a rack that he brought there to put it in to the holy dogger there for the Even Apino. And then he closed it up with sand. That was the Even Apino for the new building, which is going to be for the shul and the library and the offices of Chabad Lubavitch. After the Chanukah Even Apino, the Anochas Even Apino, they gave in to the Rebbe the specific plans for the whole building that the architect prepared. When the Rebbe saw these plans, he didn't okay them. And he then spoke a sicha. And he explained himself. This space is a living area. There could be several floors, but there shouldn't be a tall building here with a lot of multiple floors. So therefore, what should be done? Construction, they should add to the shul itself. So then they prepare the plan to add at least to the shul, to the side of 770, till the street. They build a large extension. And what's about the library? So the Rebbe wrote to me then, after Tishrei, I should speak to Agudas Chabad to prepare a plan to extend the library near where it is now. I spoke to them, but they didn't really have a normal, proper plan for that. Another month or two passed by, where the Rebbe write to me, I should make a Vada Binyan, and together we shall prepare plans what to do to extend the library. I then selected Harav Zalman Guravia, Oliver Shalom, and the Bodlachayim Tevim Harav Shlomo Kunin. With me was a board of Vada Binyan of 3, and during the whole year, we tried to prepare all kind of plans. We had plans to buy up a building on Kingston, where now there is H.L. Avrom Hotel. We prepared the plan how to buy off the building on Kingston than the Leopards, where there is a lot of stores now. The Rebbe didn't okay that. We prepared the plan to buy a house on President Street and build there the library. The Rebbe didn't okay that. We prepared the plan to buy a house on Eastern Parkway and to build there the library. The Rebbe didn't okay that. And then he wrote to us that the extension of the library should be built in the courtyard of 770 or in 770 itself. He didn't explain his reasoning, but then in the Verbringen of Shabbos before Yutas Kislev Tov Shinun, the Rebbe explained, and he says in the Sikha, he starts the Sikha, there is one subject that I'm related to, is that we are building now an extension to the library.
Rabbi Levine, you just went on to mute. Rabbi Levine, you just went on to mute. Still on mute.
Now you hear me? Now you hear me? Yes. Okay.
Yes, we do. Yes.
How
Yes, we
long
hear
did
you.
I miss?
Just a couple of seconds.
Okay. So the Rebbe said in the Sikha, Shabbos before Yutas Kislev Tov Shinun, that the library is supposed to be built in the same place because Gdusha Leizozom in Koimo, which means since the Friedrich Rebbe started the library in 770 in the ground floor. So it should be extended there and not to look for other streets and other places where to build the library. So we knew that we have to build it there. Where should we build it there? So after having a meeting between the three of us, we came up with the idea that the only place is where there is now the sukkah in the Chotzer, in the courtyard of 770, to dig up the whole place and to build a storage room, a large storage room under, and in top of the roof of that storage room should continue be the courtyard of 770 as it is now. This storage room, this storage area under the courtyard in the ground floor combines the storage room of Sforim in the ground floor of 770 and the storage room of Sforim in the ground floor of 766, that is now one large storage room that starts from the beginning of 770 until the end of 766, including the under courtyard building that combines them. When we started doing that, you know that you cannot dig up a place and start building without a permit. You know that we cannot get a permit without plans that the architect is preparing. So it takes time. We try to do it as fast as possible, but it still takes time. About 2 weeks after that Sikha of Shabbos before it is Kislev, on Hey Teves Tov Shin Nun, the Rebbe writes to us, Sacheves she'en kemeyo. It takes way too long. We have to start building the library. That's what he wrote us on Hey Teves. What should we do? We cannot dig without a permit. But the Rebbe said that the 770 itself should also be part of the library. So we took the third floor. It was the apartment of the Rachag that passed away in Tovshin and Tes, and was then prepared to the library. We took off all the partitions. We did not need for that a permit. And it took us 2-3 weeks to complete preparing it for the exhibition that is now till today. Until we finished this construction of the exhibition in the third floor of 770, we already get the permit, and then came the machinery to dig up the whole courtyard of 770. We built it in a way that the bookcases should go on tracks. In other words, that we should only one aisle in the whole building. So twice as many bookcases fit in there. So it was enough for this forum for the next 20 years. From Tovshin Nun till Tovshin Ein. Finally, the whole place was filled up with foreign. Books are still coming in every day, and there is no space to put them. So in that time, there was purchased the next house to 766, which is 760, where it has 3 floors. The ground floor is the offices of the yeshiva. The first floor was built for an apartment for the Chayzer Rabbi, and the second floor was devoted for a large storage room to add for the library. But obviously, when you have a regular apartment, the beams are not strong enough for a storage room of storage. So they had to rebuild the whole floor and walls and ceiling. It took some time. Finally, we finished that on Hey Teves, Tovshin Pei Beis, a year and a half ago, when we had the Chanukah Sabayis, and that gave us enough space to put all this forum that are keeping to come in now and in the near future. Till B'meher v'yameinu, as the Friedrich Rebbe said, that this whole building of 770 and adjacents are a building kva benefesh, but arai in zman, in very speedily, we should all go to Eretz Yisrael with Mashiach Tzidkenu.
Amen. 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 I guess Levine, ask you if you would be up to sticking around for about 5 to 10 minutes for a little question answer if people have some questions.
My pleasure.
All right. So I guess if anybody wants to use either the hand icon or whatever it is to indicate that they would like to ask a question, and they can, and then Rubenfeld can take you off mute, and you can ask your question.
Everyone can take themselves off mute. Just unmute
Or they can take
and
themselves
ask.
off.
How many Sfarim are we talking about that are still behind, that are still left in Russia? If you bring those Sfarim in, how much room do we need for all of that?
As it stands now, we have in the library about 300,000 volumes of Sfarim. The Friedrich Rebbe's collection was about 100,000. The Rebbe's kept building up and up. Now it's up to 300. Once upon a time when it was about 200,000 in the year of Tovshin Nun Dalet, where when the culture minister of Russia came to visit our library, he asked me how many Sforim we have here. And I responded, 212,000 Sforim. 200 are in this building, and 12,000 are kept for us in Moscow that are speedily going to be arriving here. Now it's 304. We hope very soon the Sforim of the Rabbi and the Kisviyah that are still in Russia, in 4 different locations where the library keeps them and the military archives keeps them, should be all returned. And as the Rebbe said, they should be returned with a smile on the government of Russia returning us this library.
I mean, You mentioned that in correspondence, I think one of the interesting, and it gives us, I think, also a sense of the Rebbe's urgency for these things. Can you share a few more of the correspondence of various teguvos from the Rebbe in the process of both the building and the expansion that perhaps that we don't know about how the Rebbe took a personal focus on both the hachava of the library as well as 770.
As we've mentioned, he gave the final order on the 4 Yutas Kislev Tovshin Nun. It took us 1 year to build, and in every occasion that the Rebbe only had, the first time and the next day after on Friday when we selected the Vada Binyan, on Sunday there was dollars. I passed by. The Rebbe gives me $1 and an extra $1, and he says, the construction will cost money, so here is the first $1. And since then, during the whole year, every occasion, as I mentioned before, when he wrote to us, 2 weeks passed by, Sacheves Shein Kumayo. He constantly pushed it should be fast in non-normal, understandable way. It was for a whole year. The construction finished in the middle of the year of Tovshin Nun Aleph. But then I wasn't here anymore, because in Tovshin Nun Aleph, the Rebbe sent me together with the delegation to Russia to be occupied with saving this foreign from Russia, from Moscow. So it took then the whole construction fell on my colleague, Yitzchak Villalem. And when I came back, Shvuas Tovshin Nun Beis, it was already after the stroke. And then we couldn't really do a lot. It was only when we finished the construction of the exhibition house, I saw how much the Rebbe wants it should be fast. So we wrote to the Rebbe, maybe since the exhibition house is ready, maybe we should open right away the exhibition house and make some kind of Hanukkah Sabayit and Kofal of Elul, just like the Frierdiker Rebbe did it. And he responded, Oit Chazoin Lamayit. In Tovshin Nun, he responded, Oit Chazoin Lamayit. Time will come for it, but not yet. And 1 month later, he sent me off to Russia. It was only after we came back. So in the year of Tovshin Nun Beis, we opened the reading room on the 3rd floor of 766. And in Tovshin Nun Dalet, we opened the exhibition hall in the 3rd floor of 770.
Anybody else have a question on this immediate subject or anything else? You not always have a gelegenheit to have Rabbi Levine right here with you.
Yeah, was there any frustration by the Rebbe that there was no the building of 7 that Rebbe wanted after Memches, after the Even Anachas and Even Apina? Was there any frustration? Any answer that why is nothing happening?
About the shul, it gave them a lot of limitations. I was obviously not involved in that. What we heard from the Rebbe in the Sikha was only that he does not okay in tall building, only extension to the shul, and that then they started building the construction to extend the shul till the street of Eastern Parkway. And he even gave them limitations. They shouldn't be too much expenses, and this extension should cost about $1 million. And that's what they did then with this extension that also finished during the year of Tovshin Nun Aleph. But parallel to that, when he urged us to build this library, is it is as I told before.
Somebody asked in the chat if you can speak to the bridge that was built and why.
It was while we built the extension to the library in the ground floor under the courtyard that combined 770 library to 766 library. It was according to what the Rebbe said in the Sikha that Dusha Lezovim in Koimo. It is just the extension, which means that the library of 766 and then of 760 is an extension to the library in 770. So therefore, since it's supposed to be one extension, so that means that for technical reasons and also for spiritual reasons, the top floor should also be an extension of 770. Shouldn't be a building for itself, because the Rebbe didn't want the library should be separated of 770. So doing that, we build the bridge on top. So now when you go up and you pass between the reading room and between the exhibition house, the exhibition room, it's just a bridge takes them between themselves and they are open as one large extension to 770, where the Friedrich Rebbe started the library.
Yeah. Mit dem ist das what the Rebbe says in the Sikha Beis Rabbeinu Shabbat with Mitzvah Hashem with the when all the Bati Knesiyos, Bati Midrashos will all go back and there'll be one building, but it'll be all an extension of Mitzvah Hashem of the Beis Hamikdash. All 770 Bereshim.
Amen.
A big Yashakayach, really to Rabbi Levine, a big Yashakayach for the Ma'agnim, who put this together, and the Mitzvah Hashem that in a sense the urgency, we should feel that all of us should feel this every single day, in that. To get to the matara. The matara is to build the extension off the base of Migdash and Mitzvah Hashem, and we should be zeicher b'peil mamish to see it today already. And again, a big yashakech. While we have everybody still here, thank you, Levine, and to continue your holy work. And give the mamchish the matav of the Rebbe. I do want to immediately pivot. To talk a little bit about what else this particular group has been doing. The Minatzchim group, again, a group of shluchim that are coming together with one common denominator, and that is Tefir Ois until the Nitzachim, the Kabbalah's name of Mashiach. And in that regard, with all the energy that Baruch Hashem and the inspiration that the Minatzchim have and the ideas, Baruch Hashem, everybody's also very busy in their shluchusen, and became apparent that the next step, take this to the next step, that we bring somebody on to this who can devote, make it their priority, their front burner, that to take all the ideas and all the direction and to solidify it, to give it laser focus. And we looked far and wide, and we came up with a particularly mukhshudike Cheverman, somebody who has already proven himself to both have the absolute passion awake from the moment that he wakes to the moment he goes to sleep, and sometimes there's very few hours in between those two. Sometimes there are no hours between those two, but that mit Mashiach and the effort to make it Payal Mamish, and his project that many of you have seen and have experienced is the Chidon, the Mashiach Chidon, which is Berel Per v'Hadar. We have been very, 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 really been very fortunate that Reb Chaim Pekarsky has agreed to take on this, to shoulder this great responsibility, and so want to introduce Reb Chaim to all of us. he will talk in a sense, introduce himself, and also discuss briefly what the Minatzchim are currently involved in, and what the ideas. And we ask everybody, really, everybody that is here and everybody else that you can touch, that they, as I said, this is very not a closed group. This is very much meant to be an open group, and more shluchim. And the more shluchim that we have involved, and the more anash we have involved, the more that we can bring these ideas. First of all, the more inspiration we can each give each other, support we can give each other, and the closer we can get, and the faster we can get to be no longer discussing the ideas, but rolling out the welcome mat. So without further ado, Reb Chaim.
Shalom Aleichem, everybody. It's a chus to be together with other shluchim and to be able to give a hand. Obviously, the idea of the Minatzchim is that everyone's trying to give a hand together so that we can finally be peled is galus. So that's just Hashem. I'm going to be trying to help together with my friend Levi Teitelbaum. We're going to be able to try to pull everything together. Right now, we're trying to be mechazik that at least once a month, there should be a monthly speaker, some ashir and Gul Mashiach, a fabringen, something interesting, something that could be give a chayis for a shliach, sort of like a monthly plug-in, as well as that's just Hashem. We're going to have, we're looking forward to a Yom Iyun, something that will be done on a professional scale, where we have different Rabbanim from all the spectrum of Klal Yisrael, people that will be speaking about different topics in connection with Gula Mashiach, something that could be a very, very big pe'ula to get people more aware of what's going to happen when Mashiach comes and things along those lines. So that's the general gist. That's just Hashem. There's more coming. And we definitely could use every manpower that's possible, side to help with ideas, side to help with getting things done, whether it's any writing things or reaching out, or so we're welcoming anybody that's ready to help. And l'chaim l'bracha. It should be batzlacha.
This is again very, very exciting things as Chaim is helming the effort and bringing, and there is very many of the shluchim and anash that we know we all share this passion. This is the common denominator that among Chassidim is that not only are we mikusham to the Rebbe, but we feel the absolute passion and the nechitzos, the drive that every day that we're still stuck here in Galus is a day that is unacceptable. And it's incumbent on every single one of us, really, every single one of us, to be asking ourselves, what is it today, materially, that I have done in this direction? And I think this Minatzchim provides every single one of us a direct place to plug in and an outlet. We can plug in and draw the inspiration and draw the ideas. And for me personally, I know I speak for many. This is what helps keep it as a front burner issue. The Yetzer Hara conspires very much to load our time and attention and focus with narishkeit. The narishkeit can even be elements of our shluchus. That is, angetan azaydin azupitze, that we have to be focused and we have to care about this, etc., and drawing, but siphoning our focus and our attention from our shluchus ikris, and we cannot lose that focus. And then once we get together like this, we are sitting with other shluchim that are in the same boat as you are, with the same concerns and the same bills and the same programs, etc., and to hear how we each give of our time to focus on this is itself so vitally important. It's almost a necessity. And then beyond that, to figure out how we can each bring our unique talents, abilities, and inspiration and with Chaim kind of coordinating it all into real material outlets and things that are happening. the weekly Fabrengen with the monthly speakers, with the Minatzchim, the podcasts are going to be coming up with various speakers and various individuals that can share on a fascinating idea that will be put out. This Yom Iyun, which is going to be in the same signain as the very successful Uvikshu event, which was a Yom Tefillah that brought together the entire Jewish world, and to do a Yom Iyun, which will be learning in Yom Mashiach the Derech HaYeshara. And there's a lot that everybody can be involved in, and there's no doubt in Mitzvah that we'll be zeicher to this galus take it from Yad. And when we're going to, when the Rebbe is going to marching up and down the lines of his Hasidim, to be able to proudly turn and say that that the Rebbe, you caught me in the middle of helping, and we were all directly involved in these things, and and again, just the talk on this. So I do know, Emet Hashem, this happens every week for those that are involved or were involved and now going to be machlit to become involved again every week, 2 p.m. 770 time, as Reb Mendy likes to say. It's always put it up 770 time.
Someone wrote that. I think it helps a lot because all those other letters after the numbers, it confuses me.
Right, just right. 770 time, 2 p.m., 2 to 3 p.m. Half an hour of a Fabrengen every week, even without the speaker. There's some inspirational people on, even if they are not a guest speaker. If anything, sometimes it's more geschmack to come on, and instead to everybody just to raw Fabrengen, share, an inspiration they read about or they learned or hear or put forward the troubles, and everybody is and then the second half is devoted to really taking ideas that have been put on the table and moving them forward to fruition. And then also for those that would like to be mishtatif in a more concrete way, we've broken this down after much discussion to keep this more structured into three vads. There's the vad, the ideas, the ones that are coming up with ideas, different ideas. Latakis eitzes pasha to come up with the eitzes. Then there is the vad of the amchasha, the ones that are bringing the implementation, how to take the idea and to bring it into Poel Mamish with the advertising, the marketing and connections and doing the groundwork, etc. And then there's the vad of those who are taking care of the finances and urging everybody to also to be mishtatif begufim mainam, in the sense that there is expenses, and every single one of us has an achrayis, Pashut as a yid to give tzedakah, and as a shluchim to be mashkia in Yom Mashiach. And in this effort, so we've asked people to consider 770 over the course of a year, $77 a month, which will go to Reb Chaim's salary and also to the programs. And there's the vad that is on top of the financial elements of this, and every single one of these aspects, support is not only appreciated, but support is required. And good things have happened, good things will happen, and obviously to the goal of the greatest thing, and that really is what it's gone down. There is nothing more vital than this shlichus ikris, and there, in that regard, there's this group among others that are there, but this group is specifically right here. You're sitting here in something that you can directly say is a place where we can all add in our in a concrete way in our efforts to be Mekayim the main Haidah from our Meshaleach, as the Rebbe says, more than the main Haidah, the central, if not in a sense, the all-encompassing Haidah of our Meshaleach. And so, in Mitzvah Hashem, we look forward to seeing anybody else would like to opine, but I was shoved in front of the camera, so I'll just say that we look forward to seeing everybody here in Mitzvah Hashem next week, the weeks thereafter, to join the Minatzchim WhatsApp group and be active on that. If you want to also say Hineni, and here's where I can be mishtatif. And either again my talent, my commitment, my energy, my money, and or all of the above. And Mitzvah Hashem, we'll see everybody in the Beis Hamikdash later today.
Amen.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the next steps? That's the question. What's the next step for now? What can we do from now till the next Monday? What do we do?
So
we have to hear from Abzusha.
I was on in the beginning, as you noticed, but I'm driving and then I lost the connection.
Why you didn't understand? You didn't know that I was going to open it.
So is there going to be a replay of his presentation?
It's recorded and I'll put it up, Minatzchim. You'll see it. It's very interesting.
So what's the next steps? Why did Chaim left already?
Chaim is not wasting time. He's getting stuff done.
Yeah, Chaim is right now inspiring children in camp, but obviously it was important that he comes on. And this is the point, Chevra. We're all very busy. We all have very, very busy schedules. I'll invoke my father, and perhaps the fact that today is my grandmother's yahrzeit. Kadina Baz Wolf, Riva Greisinski, her yahrzeit today. And I'll say L'chaim and Ilin Shmasa. But my father once asked me to do something when I was still a bacher. He was grooming me to join him in the shluchas here, to join in an official fashion. He asked me to take on a certain project, and he set benchmarks, and I didn't hit one of the benchmarks. He asked me, no, my high, why? And I said, so I had it because I thought I was really trying, but I couldn't find the time to get this and this done. And he looked at me and he says, Sandy, he says, let me teach you a very important rule in life. Time is not found. Time is made. If it's important enough, you make the time. You'll never find the time. You have to make the time. So the bottom line is we are all busy. There's no time. We're all incredibly busy. We have 48 hours of shlichus to pack into a 24-hour day every single day, and we're all incredibly busy. But this is something you make time for. I think we could all make time for, and we know how many stories there is of the Rebbe, of all the Rebbe that came to the Rebbe and said they were overwhelmed with the things that they needed to do, and the Rebbe always added to what they needed to do rather than took it away. And Pa'il Mamish, that's it. The Hatzach B'Zman is defined by Shluchim, and so every single one of us, that's not an excuse. It's not an excuse to say Pasha don't have the time. If you're otherwise doing other things and you have your direction in the Shlichus Ikris, I was going to claim that this is the only way. But if there is no other reason why you're not here, then be here. That's it. Bottom line, be here, be involved, and let's make sure that these are the last moments that we're sitting spread across the world, and where 770 is not physically annexed to the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi.
So does it make sense to start on the interviews?
I think everybody here, because we also want to keep to the fact that we're asking everybody just from 2 to 3 p.m. And at 3 p.m., we free everybody back to what they're otherwise doing. I think that's an important thing, so everybody knows that the commitment is exactly that. But on the WhatsApp, we're really asking for everybody to step up. We introduced the 3 VADs and what they are particularly doing. We're talking about the 3 projects that we're on with the building of the Fabrengens weekly, and looking for speakers every month of inspirational speakers. If anybody has any ideas, they can reach out to. These podcasts we're going to work on. If people have interesting ideas of who should be interviewed, doesn't have to necessarily be a Lubavitcher, doesn't have to be a Chassid, it doesn't even have to be a Yid, but somebody who can share an insight, some scientist, an engineer who could share something about how these are Mashiach Zeiten, which is fascinating. Please give us the name, please and figure out a way to get involved. More importantly, give us your name in terms of being willing to be involved in one of the VADs in a more concrete way. Doesn't mean, again, that we're asking that you'll be asked every single day to devote X number of hours of your day. You'll be involved in paying attention to what is going on in that particular chat and to be contributing as you can. But that's what the Minatzchim means, to be Midas HaNitzachim. All right, that's Ani Sheli Amarti. Anybody else have anything to say? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say Gershon Eshekayach to Sandy for making this happen today. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
did not make this happen. A lot of other people made this happen.
For your participation in making this run so smoothly. That's what I meant to say. And